Hi, friends. Chris Kelly here. Well, the week almost got away from me, but we're going to get this out before the week's up. So there we are. I wanted to get out my weekly video, take a quick look at stats, and maybe make reference to an article in Time Magazine. I've seen a couple other people actually post it on Facebook, and it's a worthy read. So first of all, let's blow over to stats. Um, this right here is very telling of rising interest rates. Pending sales are up notably. I think that was in the 500s last week and the week before, and maybe in the fours the week before that. At any rate, when things happen, people get off the fence, and that's what is showing up here in the data. Another week of median sales price in the upper half of the fives. That may be here to stay, or may be here on its way even further. Um, Average being in the mid sixes, which has also been kind of the case the past number of weeks. So I think that's the way it is. 5 median days on the market, 22 average. That's been the situation for a very long time now. I mean, with very few exceptions. You get maybe a week during Christmas, that kind of thing. But for the most part, homes are still moving at a rapid clip. And you'd think, intuitively, you'd think, well, wait a minute. Interest rates have moved 2 points in like 10 or 11 weeks. That's a really short amount of time for interest rates to move that much. Doesn't that automatically make house pricing adjust? And the answer is not necessarily. And that's where I want to get into this Time Magazine article. There's a few reasons. I'm going to make a link to it. Whether you get this by email or you get this on social media, there'll be a link to it. But and this is all stuff I've talked about, frankly. Not that I'm some genius. It's just that I read things on a regular basis. Comparing what's going on now. Are we going to have a bubble now versus the bubble we had? We had an oversupply of homes back then. There was a ton of new construction built because it was easy to do. The building community had a ton of money available to them. And so lending practices were super loose, both for consumers and for builders. That is not the case today. We are undersupplied, just numerically undersupplied in housing inventory, both in the new construction sector, which certainly matriculates into the resale sector. So that was not the case then. That is the case now. There's a giant amount of buying population that have either are coming of age or have been at age. They're called millennials. And depending on where you're at on the millennial age spectrum, some folks have waited things out for a long time, and now they're like, look, we have families. We need to get into the marketplace. And that's why people still continue to buy. That's a giant segment of the marketplace that remains active in the market. So those two things, coupled with there's a third that really I don't know that this article touches on too much, but in general terms, the economy, inflation aside, the economy is still, people are, unemployment's at record or near record lows. People are working, and people are making pretty good money that are working. So there's the other variables that might contribute to a market crash or a bubble or a turn in the real estate marketplace aren't there. The rest of the economy is chugging along. Housing, as I said, I think last week, either whether you're renting housing or buying housing, both of those segments of the housing marketplace have a deficit of inventory. And as a result, the price to rent and the price to buy are both high. The affordability's crummy and the price to buy or rent is really high. So, but those things aren't cooling the market yet. If rates went to 11% tomorrow, yes, that would cause a pause in the marketplace all by itself. But that isn't quite what's happened. It's really a matter of the things that were inevitably going to happen where rates are concerned are happening a little bit faster than everybody probably anticipated. So it's not going to cool the marketplace by everything that I'm looking at and the things that I'm reading and the people that I listen to. So I even as a person intuitively think, gosh, when does this stop? It stops when there's more people that want apples than there are apples in the bucket, or even where it's balanced. So, one of the other documents that I'm going to pop up really quick, I use this one from time to time. This is from RMLS. This is inventory in months. You can see the last couple of years that inventory has been just dismally low. Anytime this number's under a 3 or a 4, that is very much I mean, we're way into seller's market territory. When it's a 1 or a 0, we are absurdly low on inventory, and it is absurdly a seller's market, which is why we see the craziness in multiple offers and how far over and all the other concessions that are being given to sellers by buyers that historically never was the case, never happened. So that's where we are, and it continues to be where we are, as demonstrated by the numbers. So it's not the best set of circumstances for somebody entering the market, but it still can be done, and it largely makes sense to do it. There's study after study after study that talks about the degree of people's wealth that is made up by the real estate that they own, either a primary residence, rental properties, both. Vacation homes, whatever it is. As a rule, and in general terms, a great deal of people's wealth in our country is made up of the real estate that they own, the equity in the real estate that they own more particularly. So does it make sense to get on the bus or get on the merry-go-round, as one of my clients would say? Yes, it does. Because real estate has always performed over time. Sometimes it's done it in a really short amount of time, like say the last couple of years. That's not indicative of how real estate typically performs. I've said many a time, real estate has nearly always performed in 5-year blocks historically, and it has always performed in 10-year blocks. So when you think about it in those terms, is it a good thing to have? Is it a good thing to hold? Yeah. Of course it is. And I think people know that intuitively. But beyond that, lodging is a staple, just like energy, just like clothing, like food. So it's not like people just elect to not have lodging. There usually has to be some other catastrophic thing going on in the market, the economy, etc., that creates that, kind of like the recession that we had in 2008, 2009. Anyway, the market remains strong. I recommend that you, if you know somebody looking to get involved or looking to make a move, it is crazy, but I think it's going to continue getting crazier. So I would encourage them to take action. If you know anybody that needs some help or just wants to have this conversation and talk it through, I'm always here to do that. And my team is definitely always here to do that. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And as always, till the next time.